I still remember the sound of their horses pulling away, the rhythm of hooves pounding the desert floor growing softer until there was nothing left but silence. That silence was worse than the pain. Worse than the fire running through my shattered legs. Worse than the taste of dust in my mouth. Because that silence meant my people were gone. My tribe. My family. The ones I had fought beside, bled beside, laughed beside since I was old enough to hold a bow. They left me there, broken in the dirt, like I was no more than a coyote carcass to be picked apart by the vultures. I was an Apache warrior. Proud. Fierce. Fearless. But that day, I was something else entirely. A woman abandoned, my legs crushed beneath a fallen horse, left to die beneath the unforgiving desert sun. I lay there for hours. The heat pressed down on me until my skin burned and cracked. Buzzards circled overhead, their wings casting fleeting shadows across the ground, as if mocking me. I clawed at the earth, dragging myself a few feet at a time, every movement carving pain into my body. The taste of iron, my own blood mixed with sand on my tongue. I whispered to the spirits of my ancestors, "Do not let me die like this." But the desert showed me no mercy. And then, I heard it. The distant jingle of spurs, the soft shuffle of hooves against stone. I thought maybe it was a dream, a fevered trick of the sun. But then a shadow fell across me. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with dust on his hat and lines etched deep into his sun-browned face. A cowboy. A white man. For a moment, we just stared at each other, me, a broken Apache woman, him, a stranger in worn boots and weathered leather. His eyes were cautious, wary, but they weren't cruel. "God Almighty," he muttered under his breath, kneeling beside me. "What happened to you, darlin'?" I didn't answer. My throat was too dry, my pride too heavy. I only met his gaze, daring him to walk away as my people had. But he didn't. He lifted his canteen to my lips. The water was warm, but it slid down my throat like salvation. My whole body shuddered as life seeped back into me. He studied my legs, twisted, swollen, beyond repair. His jaw tightened. "You ain't gonna make it out here on your own," he said softly. And with that, he scooped me up, as though I weighed no more than a child, and laid me across his horse. I wanted to fight him, to tell him I was strong, that I didn't need a cowboy's pity. But the truth was, I couldn't even stand. So I closed my eyes and let the rhythm of the horse carry me away from the place my tribe had abandoned me. Dash dash. His cabin was small, built from pine logs, tucked into the fold of a canyon where the air smelled of juniper and smoke. He laid me on a bed of furs and lit a fire that filled the room with warmth. For days, fever took me. I drifted in and out, haunted by dreams of my people leaving me, their faces turned away. Sometimes, when the pain grew unbearable, I felt a cool cloth on my brow, or heard a rough voice singing low by the fire old cowboy songs, soft as a lullaby. When the fever broke, I woke to find him sitting by the hearth, carving wood with steady hands. He looked up, and for the first time, I saw something in his eyes besides caution. I saw kindness. "You're stronger than most," he said. "I wasn't sure you'd make it." My voice was a whisper. "Why didn't you leave me?" He shrugged, his eyes dropping to the flames. "'Cause I know what it feels like to be left behind." Those words struck deeper than he knew. Dash dash. The weeks that followed were hard. My body healed, but my spirit, it faltered. I couldn't walk, couldn't hunt. Couldn't run across the plains the way I once had, wind in my hair, freedom in my veins. I was half a woman. Broken. More than once, I told him to take me back to the desert, to let the earth finish what it started. But he refused. Instead, he built me crutches from sturdy oak, carving them smooth with his own hands. He showed me how to balance, how to move one step, then another, until I could make my way across the cabin without falling. At first, I hated the struggle. Every stumble reminded me of what I'd lost. But slowly, something shifted. Each step was not just survival, it was defiance. Proof that I was still here. And he never treated me as less. When neighbors came, whispering about the Apache woman in his cabin, warning him of trouble, he stood firm. She stays, he told them, voice like stone. She's under my care. That night, when I asked him why he risked their judgment, he looked at me, his eyes steady. "'Cause you deserve more than what you've been given." One evening, a storm rolled in from the mountains. Rain pounded the roof, and the creek beside the cabin swelled into a raging torrent. He rushed out to save his cattle from drowning, and without thinking, I followed. My crutches sank into the mud, the wind whipped my hair, but I fought alongside him, driving the animals to higher ground, steadying him when the flood nearly swept him off his feet. When we finally stumbled back inside, soaked and breathless, he looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Not as a broken woman. Not as a burden. But as a partner. "You're still a warrior," he whispered. Something inside me broke open, then not in pain, but in release. For the first time since that terrible day in the desert, I believed it. Not long after, word reached us that some of my people had heard I still lived. A few came to the cabin. They stood at the edge of the clearing, shame heavy in their eyes. They told me I could return, that there was still a place for me among them. My heart ached. I had longed for that moment, for the sound of my mother's voice, for the warmth of my people around a fire. But when I looked at them, and then at the cowboy standing silently beside me, I knew my choice. I could not go back to those who had left me for dead. My place was here, with the man who had carried me from the dust, who had seen worth in me when I saw none in myself. That night, beneath a sky of 1,000 stars, he confessed his feelings in a voice rough with fear. "I reckon I've fallen for you," he said. "Don't know if that's something you can forgive me for." I touched his face, feeling the stubble beneath my fingers, the warmth of his skin. "You saved me," I whispered. "Not just my life, but my spirit. How could I not love you?" Our first kiss was slow, trembling, filled with all the pain and hope of two souls who had found each other in the wildest of places. Now, when I look back on the day my tribe rode away, I no longer feel only bitterness. Yes, they left me for dead. But because of that, I found life, true life, in the arms of a cowboy who refused to see me as broken. I am still a warrior. My battles are different now, but my strength has never left me. And as the fire crackles in our cabin and the prairie wind sings outside, I know this truth with every beat of my heart: they abandoned me, but love found me. And in that love, I began to live again.